What is going on, everyone? Griffin here, coming at you with some runway gameplay. Today we're going to be talking about the newest communication from the new developers Evil Mojo for Rogue Company. So let's head over and let's talk about it. So as you can see here, this is the post by Evil Mojo from August the 14th. Greetings from Evil Mojo. Greetings, rogues. As this is our first time properly introducing ourselves, we're Evil Mojo. Some of you may know us as the development team behind Paladins and Realm Royale, but many of you probably discovered us for the first time when it was shared that we had merged development responsibilities with our sister studio, First Watch. We appreciate your patience while we have been going through the merging process and figuring out what the new combined studio will look like. It's been quite an adjustment for us as we learned from some of the Rogue Company devs on the team, but it's a challenge we took head on with the release of Vivi. We've been excited to see all the love for her and are honored we could bring First Watch's hard work on her into the spotlight. We know some of you have been frustrated by the lack of communication since our arrival, so we want to share what's happening with Rogue Company. To address any immediate fears, we're still supporting and updating Rogue Company and will address key community issues that occur. We have people working on the game today as we speak. However, we're a small team with multiple projects, so there will naturally be changes from the traditional Rogue Company cadence you've had in the past. There will be slower updates with more emphasis on balance and quality of life, the first of which should arrive in the coming month. This leads into our general development goals for the game. Our goals for Rogue Company are to maintain the current version of the game you all play, with no more sudden shifts or massive overhauls to the core systems. We know that the game has had plenty of large changes throughout its life, and every player has their favorite era. If you enjoy Rogue Company as it is today, it's going to stay that style of experience. We're still dedicated to improving and preserving the integrity of the game, as well as keeping things fresh. We're aware that may be a bit of a bummer for some, but we want to be transparent about our focus on supporting the existing community and players. You all are what keeps Rogue Company going with your passion, and it's our job to help ensure you can continue playing into the future. We still are cooking up some helpful balance changes heading to the sandbox and a few small surprises up our sleeves for the future. Evil Mojo. So this is the first communication that we've effectively got since the Chisholm tweet went out about Hi-Rez doing a complete restructure and merger of some of the smaller studios. Same thing happened with DKO, and I think it was Redbeard Games. They got, absorbed by Titan Forge. First Watch got absorbed by Evil Mojo. This is something that we had talked about in the past. So I'm not exactly sure who over at Hi-Rez decides that they are going to be the ones that write articles that are released to the public. I don't know if Chisholm wrote his article that he released on LinkedIn. I'm not sure who wrote this article that's being released here, but Hi-Rez has traditionally had a very, very poor way of communicating information to the community. And the reason why I say that is because in the Chisholm tweet, there was a lot of buzz and a lot of concern about maintenance, right? That was a key buzzword, maintenance. And that was where a lot of people in the community basically took the word maintenance and they ran with it. And that was, this stop in their system where it was like, what does this mean? Does this mean that we're no longer getting this? Does this mean that we're no longer getting that? Does this mean this? Does this mean that? And whenever you break the article down and look at it and give it a full read through, then you understand that like the context clues are there. The information is actually there in the article. It's just a poor choice of words and it's a poor choice of verbiage specifically for what they're trying to communicate to the community. Same thing here. Our goals for Rogue Company are to maintain the current version of the game you all play. If I was the person over at Evil Mojo writing this, I would try to steer clear of any such keywords as maintain, maintenance, anything like that that would cause any type of triggered response from the community. Unfortunately, nobody seems to have the foresight to do something like that, so here we are making a video about what this actually means. So there's a couple of key points in this article that I do want to hit on, and I want to communicate to the community what the actual intent behind these things are, seeing as how Evil Mojo and Hi-Rez has no idea how to properly convey any type of intent to the community. So We know that you have been frustrated by the lack of communication since our arrival. We wanted to share what's happening. To address any immediate fears, we're still supporting and updating Rogue Company and will address key community issues that occur. People working on the game, they want to emphasize on balance and quality of life. Now, this is something that Jared, whenever he took over, he really wanted to focus on balance and quality of life. Jared's the one that went in there and he axed all those systems that shook up the core version of the game, which we'll get into in just a second. But his vision and his idea for design around Rogue Company was to focus on balancing the weapons, balancing the rogues, balancing the game modes and various other things like gadgets and things like that in the game, but also introduce quality of life fixes. Now, whenever you break everything down into like what their subcategories are, balance is pretty self-explanatory. Weapon balance, rogue balance, balance when it comes to fairness in play. That's basically what balance means. Quality of life, on the other hand, and I've seen a lot of comments where it's like, you guys don't need to focus on this stuff. You need to focus on matchmaking and servers and all this stuff. Servers and matchmaking and any other problem areas in Rogue Company are part of quality of life, right? Because the servers work, right? We can still connect to the servers. We can still get into games. We can still play Rogue Company matches right now. But the quality of life fixes for those would be making servers better, would be making connections better, would be removing desync issues from the servers. Those are quality of life issues. Once you introduce something into the game, like the servers as an overall system, and then if they're not that great, then anything that you do to make them better is a quality of life bonus to that, right? So when they're not saying that they're not going to focus on matchmaking, they're not saying that they're not going to focus on the server stability and the server issues. They're not saying any of that stuff. They're saying that they're going to focus on balance and quality of life, and servers, matchmaking, and any other problem areas absolutely 100% falls into the quality of life aspect for Rogue Company. Now, when it comes to balance, there's not a ton that, in my opinion, they would realistically need to do to the game in order to give a very balanced gameplay experience to the community, at least from my estimation. A lot of the weapons already feel balanced for the most part, and everything feels like it's at least in a better spot than it has been previously. But currently, they could do a couple of things to help improve the balance of the game, such as do another pass on DMRs, or actually do a full pass on DMRs, because we never got that before. Jared was working on doing a full pass on DMRs, but that never happened. So we need a full pass on DMRs. We also need a full pass on SMGs once again. We need a full pass on assault rifles once again. Shotguns is a big, like I made a video about that last week, and it's either love it or hate it type of situation. So that feels, the only thing that I think feels very, very well, like 110% balanced right now, are sniper rifles and light machine guns. And that's because there's two in each category, so it's not like there's a lot of variety there. So I think that those are fine. I think pistols, for the most part, are fine. I think that a couple of pistols need to be looked at and adjusted slightly. They need to have a full pass. And then, of course, melees are absolutely broken and needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be looked at as a whole. And there needs to be some type of like a system set up for that. And that's where the core systems come in. Whenever they're saying here that they're going to maintain the current version of the game you all play with no more sudden shifts or massive overhauls to the core systems. Now, what does that mean? People think that means that they're not going to be adding things into the game. They're not going to be tweaking things. They're not going to be changing things up. That is not the reality of this. What this means is the current TTK for the game is going to be maintained, and there's not going to be any more massive shifts to the TTK for Rogue Company whatsoever. That means that the core systems, the way that the rogues function, the way that the rogues move, the way that the HP regeneration works, like these very core systems in the game that nobody realistically ever thinks about, at least from a player perspective, they're not going to be changing. Whether you want to admit it or not, Rogue Company has had more changes to their core fundamental systems than any game that I've ever played in the past. Imagine playing a game like Call of Duty, where there are massive changes in health regeneration. There's massive changes in how fast you are depending on what character you are. how damage resistant you are whenever you're getting shot, whenever you're using a specific character. Imagine if Call of Duty released the game and then they started adding all of this other stuff on top of it and then taking that stuff back away. Those are the core systems. Those are the core fundamentals of the game that before they're even released to the public for public consumption, those things have already been tested and they are tried and true, and they do not need any tweaking or any balancing or anything done to them whatsoever. That's why whenever Scott Gandhi and his team wanted to do the initial TTK changes, you had 2 to 3 years to work on this game, and you did all this extensive testing in-house. Now you want to change up the TTK for the game. Why do you want to do that? That's a core system of the game. That's a core fundamental of the game, and you're wanting to turn that on its head. Not only have we been playing the game for 6 months to a year at this point, and you want to turn everything up on its head, but why didn't you do these tests whenever you were developing the game? That's how it should work. So that whenever they're saying that they're not going to be changing up the core systems for the game, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be adding into anything into the game. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be offering future customization and future, changes that can be made whenever they come down to their like rogue selection and weapon selection. It just means that those core basic foundational fundamentals are not going to be touched any longer, which is great because every lead designer that's come into Rogue Company has had a different idea for what those foundational things, what those fundamental things should be, and we get this crazy shift in things and then crazy rebalance. If they would have like stuck with that original tried and true foundational core system that they set in there and balanced everything around that, then the game would be in a completely different spot than it is currently. But they just couldn't leave well enough alone. Whoever is puppeteering over there and pulling all the strings wants massive changes to happen to the game to force some type of like huge uprising and huge like resurgence of players, and that's not how you do it. How you do it is not by changing the gameplay loop and making the gameplay loop any different. It's creating a solid gameplay loop and then creating elements around that loop. I'm going to take signature perks as an example here. Signature perks was a LTM that they put into the game to test how specific perks for specific rogues felt whenever you were playing in Rogue Company. This was an idea that I had talked about many times in the past. This is an idea that a lot of people have talked about many times in the past, and it's something that could be very beneficial to the game. You give a rogue access to 2 perks that are only accessible by that rogue, and that brings uniqueness, it brings identity back to those rogues, and it also introduces different playstyles for those rogues. That doesn't affect the core fundamental systems of the game. That's just a building block on top of those core fundamental systems of the game. Like the speed and toughness basically destroyed the foundation and reset a new foundation. Whenever Jared removed speed and toughness, he took that foundation, wiped it away, and the old foundation was still there, and then he started putting his building blocks on top of it. That's basically what the signature perk thing is doing. It's taking that core system and it's making additions to the game that contributes in a very interesting and dynamic way in order to highlight those different core fundamental systems for the game. And that's why I made the video about the signature perks not working, and I want to see them working because I do think it's a good idea. I do think it's something very interesting, and I think it's something that they could absolutely bring into the game and kind of refresh and revamp and revitalize the current gameplay loop that we already have. So that means that other systems, other ideas, other mechanics may be brought into the game and used as building blocks or stepping stones in order to build the game on top of that sturdy foundation. But what that means is we're not going to be getting any crazy type of changes such as TTK changes, HP regeneration changes, the way that core mechanics in the game work, such as it being third person, being able to roll, being able to how your weapons act and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to be tweaking any of it, which is a great thing in my opinion. I think that this communication was very much needed. I think that the wording and the verbiage that was used on the communication was absolutely poor and they need to have someone over at Evil Mojo and First Watch to realistically take this information in and convey what they actually want to convey to the community instead of using these keywords that are going to trigger upset people. And that's how I feel about it. Whenever you put quality of life, they should have put in parentheses matchmaking, servers, things like that, because those are quality of life changes. Whenever they put balance in here, they should have put in parentheses looking at systems like weapon, melee, you know, all this kind of stuff. They should have elaborated just a little bit more on some of these things, because there's a lot of people in the community that pretty much took this thing and ran with it in the wrong direction. And that's why I wanted to make this video. But be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. What was your interpretation of this? And does me explaining exactly the true intent behind this article, does that change your opinion on anything? Does that make you more excited or less excited for Rogue Company moving forward? And what do you think? All I'm going to say is, at the end of the day, when you have a game like Fortnite and they introduce a core system into the game, which is their gameplay loop of being a battle royale and how that game plays and how that game feels, and they've built on top of that like crazy. The only core fundamental system that they ever changed, at least from my knowledge, for Fortnite was removing the building mechanic. And that brought a whole new resurgence of players. So I understand the idea of why people at high res is like, well, we can change this up and it's going to bring players back into the game. But here's the difference. A lot of people like playing Fortnite because it's a battle royale, but they don't like the building mechanic. The mechanics for Rogue Company are so good and so solid that they don't have to do anything to them. But be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Also, be sure to check that description for links to Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. Those are the places to contact me. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, then consider hitting that join button to become one of the 256 crew members. Lastly, on Thursday starting at 11 p.m. Central Time and Sunday starting at 10 a.m. Central Time, I will be streaming here on YouTube. So if you are interested and available, please feel free to stop by and say hello there. Thanks for watching, guys.
We've been wiped out.
I'm revealed, but I'm gonna take it. Won't push up. Got hit with an arrow. There's two behind that.
He farted me! He's pushing up. He's going to hill. Hilling in the cut. Hilling in the cut. Hilling in the cut.
Sure. Okay.
Back.
He's
Ruben
being
Show back here
scared.
at the back.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
The enemy force.
I like the way you die, boy. No diggity. Got a hack.
Damn.
We're revealed.
Got revealed
That's fine.
up top right here. He's literally behind that cover.
I got firebomb.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
You're on your own. Dude, he's got shots on me.
As soon as I let that fucking thing go, I got firebomb.
Missed all my shots using the riptide.
Several
Trash.
went back.
Yep, there's two back here.
Someone's on that cover in front of you, Dirt.
They're getting him
Don't
up.
watch on the door.
There's two on back.
I can't see him.
He fucking killed me again! This dude, man.
Dude,
Every time I
it's
run
him.
into him.
It's the fucking Riptide, man. They're all running the fucking Riptide. At least two of them are. And fucking Dallas is running the Riptide. I try to run the Riptide. I can't hit fucking anything. Dude, they got both of the spots covered. Shot you through the smoke.
Won't cover the wall.
Yeah, I'm revealed.
I just cannot hit any shots, man.
Are you shitting me? He was standing right on that fucking.
Okay. Okay.
Standing right on the grenade.
No,
dude. There's
no.
no way.
Oh no. Of course they get the fucking scene up.
Gonna hop that wall again.
Yep, he just did.
Yep. Yep.
Here's a gift. Enjoy.
Like, where the fuck did he come
He's
from?
C4. Oh, I'm dead.
Like, where the fuck
Apparently
did
he
he
was
come
behind
from?
the cover.
I'm revealed. How? Oh my! Why? Why are they fucking there?
I'm dead
I'm
as
safe.
fuck, dude. Nah.
Of course, they threw fire right on me.
This is
I'll just
weird.
die.
This is weird,
Already picking
man.
the other one up too.